So the next thing we want to talk about is education versus intellect. Right now, you look at the bottom of the screen, we're going to put the definition of education, which is usually you going to school and learning something, and intellect, this is your definition, which usually means, not usually, which means that you learn from doing. So, when we talk about education and intellect, which one do you prefer?
It's a tough one.
You want a hood?
Some people say intellect is intellect. It's something that's already in you. So it's not even so much learned by experience. It's that thing that you have as a gift. Being educated, in this society can benefit you at times if you're educated in the right area. So some people might prefer to be educated, but if you're asking me, who I think is smarter, the educated or the intellectual.
Yes.
I mean, you're educated in one area of study. Intellect that's your perception on life in general. So I'm gonna go with the intellectual.
Intellect.
I'm gonna go with the intellectual.
Intellectual.
Me?
You want me to go?
Yes, you do.
All right, I had to think about it a little. Intellect versus education.
But that don't mean that an educated person can't be an intellectual, because sometimes that gets taken.
There you go.
To another thing.
What I will say is this. Coming from where I come from, and everything that has transpired in this world, I'm looking at every person as an individual. And I think, a lot goes into your makeup in regards to if you're intelligent or educated. Because you can be educated, like he said, one thing. But that's not necessarily meaning that you're a super smart person. It just may mean that you have taken the time to dedicate yourself in that one area. So I'm thinking now in regards to Jay-Z's video where he talks about, I think it's like a success mindset, right? Is that what it's called? Success mindset? Something along those lines, right? And when you talk about people that have not going to school, that are now successful, depending on your own definition of success, without them having needed that component of going to school 7 days, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, and still, being great, I think that right there lets you know that it's not one thing. I don't think it's one way for each individual. I think each individual is a different person. It depends on your experiences. It depends on, your dedication, your drive, your motivation, your encouragement. So it's all those different things built in. But I like what he said. I like the intellectual, educational intellect. Yeah. Educational intellect, whatever. I like all that, yes.
Well, coming from a guy that graduated with all F's and D's.
Lies.
No. I should have brought my report card here today too. I'm gonna have. You're gonna put it up on the screen.
I was never a school student. Everybody who I went to high school with know this. So I was in the shadow of my sister. So.
And so that's the thing with me. Like I never was the pick of the litter when it came to books. If I got something, if I got a good score, it was luck. It wasn't.
He always downplay everything.
It was chance.
It was chance. It was like if you should have
You're
a
just
shot.
a naturally smart person.
Yeah, but I'm not smart when it comes. Listen, I had the worst.
You was smart, but you did stupid things.
That's the story of my life.
No.
Listen though.
So basically, you're an intellectual. You're not educated.
So but I tell you, I'm not even. Listen,
but guess what?
Check out my work.
Intellectual.
Between the three of us, I think we might, and this is not being.
I'm not educatable. I'm not educatable.
But we might be doing just as good, if not a little better, than most people who are educated, just with our natural intellect alone.
Oh yeah, because
I know your resume, so I can say that.
It's a two-step out here. It's a two-step out here, right. And the thing about it is that
case in point.
I can't really do I can't sit down and learn about some shit that I just don't care about. Like I'm not good at faking it.
I don't want to interrupt him, but please refer to video 1 where he says he's had about $1 million worth of real estate. Go.
She's crazy. So anyway, like I was saying, if I'm interested in it, then I can dive all the way in. It's my passion. I love it. But if I don't feel it and I don't rock with it, I can't do it. With the California, if you look at the California aptitude test, I would have never gotten none of the great magnet schools and things like that. Even Even like SATs, I suck on it. I mean, I knew guys that I was definitely smarter than that, bust my ass on it. I think I couldn't even play college basketball until the SAT. So that says that I didn't even get a 700.
I never took mine.
My man, so I'm talking about, he saved his fucking money. So I guarantee you, if you look it up, I think my first score on SAT was 546, which is ridiculous. I'll tell you though, I was like 15 years old and I was hungover. But anyway, that's not important.
Had to be.
But the thing about it is that, like, that learning in there, that reading in there, it was just all boring. So I'm not really a person that you can educate on something I don't want to learn about. You put me in something that I'm passionate about, man, I will flourish. I will be a star. So for me, it's got to be the intellect.
But let me tell you why you need both, right?
Listen.
It takes an intellectual person to pay attention to their surroundings and be observant, and whereas you can pull on people's personalities and characters to decipher whether or not they are good quality to be around. Also, with that being said, my son is smart, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember he took his SATs in like the 6th grade, and I'm like, when they came in the mail, I'm like, who paid for this? Who does that? I thought that was the weirdest thing ever, right? But what I learned by my son is that his educational abilities or drive or whatever you want to call it, it afforded him so much more than a smart person or intellectual person, because he merged both together.
Right.
And for him to be like 26 years old and have the type of networking system that he has,
right.
I'm talking not in Philadelphia, I'm talking globally, you know, where he can go to Hawaii and he has a connect from Masterman Middle School. For example, my son, when he went to Masterman, the mayor's daughter was in his class. You know what I mean? And when you put yourself in those places and spaces and you are demonstrating your true intellect with your, you know, and showing that you smart too. Like, I gotta see, you was intellectual, but you didn't want people to know that you were educated because it's not deemed as cool, right?
Oh,
but
the
now
man
school
box,
is cool.
the man box. Yeah.
Yo, you just put me in the man box?
I'm just saying because I know you, so I know that you had everything capable of being successful in the capacity of
I
school.
wish I had my report card here so you can
But
see.
that's just the letter
So
grade.
basically what y'all telling me is $1 Million Reef insecurity superseded.
It sound good. Now that was a great one. That was a great one.
No, that was a shot. That was a shot.
I know, I loved it, and that was so good, and I loved every minute of it. I swear I did. Now,
He gonna get you back.
I know. I know it's
it may take a year.
I'm
No, it may
waiting for
take a year. He gonna have the guard the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
Nah. Not today. He won me on that one. But no, the thing about
See,
it is
that's what he do. He would take tabs. That even mad at him.
One to one.
He got me this time. Yeah, that's in his book.
It's in there. It's in that book.
Yeah.
But no, like I said, you know, one thing, again, because we're going to talk about this topic later on, probably another episode, is that maturity. You understand that women mature faster than men. So my maturity level, whereas at some things I matured extremely fast, and other things I didn't. So my self-control, it wasn't where I need to be in my discipline. As far as if I'm watching you a teacher, and I realize that while you talking to me, I think you full of shit. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. You could be telling me whatever you want to tell, but once I start locking on you and realize that, yo, you just told us how to do that problem, and that shit was wrong, and the student just saved you to show you how to do it. So you really up there fronting too.
Or did you get your first piece of ass and
No, I didn't have
forgot
sex.
about your books?
I didn't have sex till I was damn near 22. So what she talking
Oh my
about?
God.
I'm a devout Christian, Muslim, Catholic, and Jew, all together in one. God loves me. So anyway, back at the ranch, what I'm saying is that once I see that somebody is not who they portray to be as that teacher, I kind of block them out and I don't listen no more. And it ain't hurt nobody but myself, and that's the part of not being mature enough to understand, hey, you're making a dumb decision right now for something that's going to mess you up in your life. So when that,
I don't know if I look at it that way though.
that's what I did.
But you had other things going on in your life, and I
Don't
think
bring
that's
up all
one.
my other stuff that's going on. in
I'm
my
not
life.
gonna bring it up, but what I'm saying is, I think as Black people, we so focused on the drive and the gusto, where sometimes, you know, if things happen to us, we don't necessarily take that time out to, you know, grieve on whatever capacity. It doesn't have to be a death or, you know, but we don't take that time out for ourselves to just revive ourselves or revive our energy or
When do you get the
have
time?
a one-on-one conversation with somebody that we feel.
When do you get the time? When do you get the time out here? When you hustle and bustle?
That's what I'm saying.
When do you
So
get the
I
time?
think I think we so hard on ourselves, whereas even the accomplishments that we have, we don't even pat ourselves on the back. So my point in saying
pat me, let them know. Maybe.
I got you. But I think with that, you know, you're blaming or you're looking at it one-sided and you're not taking in every other thing that you may have been going through at that time of your life. Because I know you. So what I'm saying is you had other components and aspects that may have caused you to take a back seat to the black and white book, especially because you knew you had the intellect.
Well, again, like I said, some of my teachers, they got through to me, and they made me flourish. They made me a star, and it was throughout life. So whether it was college, high school, I had some teachers that brung that out of me, and then I had some teachers where it shit just got defensive, and it's like, man, I ain't trying to hear nothing you got to say. So again, like I said, it was a maturity for me. Had I known, like everybody said, had I known what I know now and I knew back then, I probably would have took a different approach. But me being stuck in my own way. And I'll tell you this much, in math in high school, I failed it every year. I paid to go to summer school. So every year in high school, I failed math. So listen, so I go to summer school and I pass. So it looked good and looked decent. We totally off subject, but I get to college. And because I just only really passed math in summer school, it was certain components that I missed. So when I get to college and I'm taking math now, I'm like, oh shit. You know, the further you go up in math starts to become all letters. Math become letters and square roots and shit. Yeah. And you're sitting there like, yo, I don't remember this. And I'm somebody who picked up math and science very easy. But because of that, because of the little beef that I had with my high school math teacher, who I had every year for 4 years straight, I missed out on a lot. So I ain't doing nothing but hurt myself, and I can't believe I just did that right there. But we'll talk.
But let me ask you this though. One point you made, you said, I think if I would have known when I knew back then, I probably would have did things a little different, a little better in terms of school. Knowing what you know now about school and knowing what you know now about entrepreneurship, did you really make a mistake, or do you think you would have been in a better situation had you been more serious about school and you would have thought that direction? Do you think that
I got to answer that?
Because what would you have went to school for at that time that would have had you doing better than what you do now?
It's another episode that we had that didn't come out. It said mortuary science. So for me, I would have been able to put the hustle. And see, so now I know a lot more than everybody. I have
you know a lot more than everybody. That's what you just said.
Yeah, I know a lot more. I know a lot more. Yeah. I said that shit and I
know a lot more than everybody.
I know a lot more than everybody. And I don't care if you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, and when you talking to me as a peer. I'm sorry that I'm like that, but that's just how I am. So I say that to say, but because I don't have the credentials by my name, like I have done some deals behind the door where I have talked to the accountants, the bankers, and the brokers, and I'm the one sitting there telling them how to do the deal, and they sitting there like, what school did you go to? School of Reality. And because of that though, I'm boxed in. So I always got to be behind somebody else, so I do not get a chance to get my full credit for the things I've done. So that's what I'm saying. I box myself in. So no, don't get me wrong. I have a great life. I live a good life, but it would be better had I made better. I don't regret that. It'd be different. It'd be different, but I don't regret it.
And I think that's one of my key points in me always stressing and talking about education, because I love what I do. But with that being said, I think education or being a teacher is not necessarily all about the book or the pen and paper. And what I mean by that is, for example, today, I put on The Price of Being Great for one of my classes, and I had to tell my student that he embodies that song for me. It's one of my students that just embodied that song, and I had two students in. They give out food to the homeless. They in an after school program where they're doing karate. They're motivating other children, and you need that from somebody. You need people to build you up and pull you up. And you may not necessarily know what's going on with a person's life or their story. And God is going to put everybody in your life for a reason. So it may not necessarily be what I could have, should have, could have done. Yeah. But more so, now I'm just realizing and being more grateful for my story and my experiences. And each and every day I take pride in being able to hopefully pull somebody up or encourage them to do the same for themselves.
Understandable. Well, right now we just want to get into one more part of this, because during this week we lost some great black people this week. John Chaney we lost Cicely Tyson. Two profound people that really changed things. I mean, when you watch her acting, sometimes it's amazing. She was great in Hoodlum. That's one of my favorite movies. And John Chaney, I mean, that was my dad's basketball coach when he went back to high school. My dad went to Ben Franklin, dropped out, went to Gratz, and when he went back to Gratz, John Chaney was one of the people that was in his school, one of his teachers.
Yeah, it was my father's gym teacher also.
Yeah, and John Chaney was definitely a motivator and a guy in our community that people considered, he talked it like he walked it. And he was always, even though he was a college coach, and he took some young black men and got them in some young men period, and got them in the league and the NBA. I'm quite sure he produced a lot of scholars, a lot of just good men with good values. So me watching John Chaney from a distance, I was like, damn, I always admired him from a distance. Like that's how I want to be. I want to save my peace. I don't want nobody to have a leash on me.